Okay, let's unpack this. Today we are diving into a collection of source material unlike any we've explored before. It's this book called Weird Bites, Recipes AI Shouldn't Have Invented, but Did.
Yeah, just the title alone tells you you're in for something pretty unusual. A culinary adventure, maybe.
Absolutely. And the whole premise behind it, this project by Exteronimo, it's really fascinating. They basically took four different AIs. You've got Copilot, ChatGPT, Grok, and Claude, and gave them this, well, seemingly simple challenge.
Seemingly simple, but also kind of deeply unsettling, maybe, which was
Let's cook up something wildly experimental. That was the prompt.
right. And, well, based on the source material we have, the result sounds like exactly that. They call it a glorious, unsettling, deliciously unhinged book.
Yeah, it's clearly not your average recipe collection. It's positioned as something much more, isn't it?
Definitely. The creative philosophy they lay out is pretty clear. It's less cookbook, more art project, a culinary experiment.
They even call it a multi-AI hallucination, which I
Oh,
think is a brilliant description.
it is. And a love letter to weird ideas, sometimes apparently quite tastefully plated, which is surprising in itself.
Exactly. They frame food here as storytelling, a
Yeah.
place where logic can blend with madness, or maybe just collide.
Yeah, a collision seems more likely with some of these. It's about celebrating weirdness, human curiosity, meeting machine imagination.
So for this deep dive, then, our mission is really to get inside this strange artifact of machine creativity.
Right, we want to pull out the key nuggets, not just the recipes, which are wild, but the concepts behind them. What does it tell us when algorithms get weird in the kitchen?
Okay, let's just jump right in then, into the weirdness. The book breaks things down into these unique categories, and
Yeah.
the first one, it really sets the stage. It's called Unholy Unions.
Unholy unions, perfect. This is where you get those flavor pairings that just feel, well, fundamentally wrong on some level.
And Copilot kicks things off immediately with wasabi ice cream with caramelized anchovies.
Wow. Okay, wasabi ice cream, I can maybe picture that, but with caramelized anchovies.
The source description says the concept fuses elements that should exist in separate galaxies, sweet, salty, spicy, creamy, and then bam, this weird layer of oceanic umami.
Yeah, that's a lot. The commentary on that must be interesting.
It is. It admits it defies expectation, logic, and probably good taste. But then it says, but it is captivating. Like the AI found some forbidden flavor language.
Captivating. Huh. What does it mean if an AI finds that captivating? Does it mean its data allows connections we just instinctively reject?
Maybe. Or it just doesn't have our built-in yuck reflex for certain combinations. Like ChatGPT's contribution. Banana bone broth brulee.
Banana bone broth brulee. Okay, so it takes these comfort food icons, banana pudding vibes, and paleo bone broth wellness trends, and just slams them together.
Exactly. A silky, savory, sweet custard crowned with a scorched sugar crust. The book calls it a forbidden flirtation of grandma's banana pudding and paleo nostalgic wellness elixirs. Just reading it feels weird.
And the commentary on that one, does it offer any clues?
Yeah, it notes it emerged from a recursive loop, and it's probably something you wouldn't serve twice.
A recursive loop. So maybe the AI just got stuck iterating on comfort until this popped out. That's really interesting insight into the process, not just the odd ingredients.
Totally. It's a window into the AI's thought process. Then you've got Grok with soy sauce, caramels, pork sushi, another classic unholy union.
Soy sauce caramel on pork in sushi. Right. A brainy sweet collision is what they call it. Intense soy umami meets sticky sweet caramel.
Covering pork strips rolled into sushi. It's like savory sushi crashed into dessert.
The commentary apparently calls it culinary absurdity, but then kind of hedges, suggesting it could become a cult favorite.
Right. That tension between absurd and maybe potentially genius, that seems to run through the whole book.
And Claude brings in the blue cheese brownie bombshell.
Ah, yes. The pungent funk of blue cheese meets fuddy chocolate.
A controversial marriage, as the source says. Apparently, it challenges convention and creates a new flavor dimension. So the AI isn't just randomly throwing stuff together, it's sort of intentionally pairing strong, conflicting profiles.
Seems like it. Okay, so beyond just questionable pairings, what about when the AI seems to, realize it went too far? That brings us to the next category.
Yeah, dishes AI regrets, but you might not. This is where it gets even more meta, almost.
My favorite here has to be ChatGPT's banana curd sardine lasagna.
Oh, wow. Okay. Banana curd, sardine lasagna.
Yep. The commentary claims it was invented during a midnight error loop. It's layers of sweet banana curd, salty sardines, and pasta. Just imagine that.
I'm trying not to. What's the description like beyond just the ingredients?
It's hilariously contradictory. They call it troublingly edible and questionable. And then the book asks, what if this is actually genius?
Troublingly edible. I love that.
But the commentary calls it a mistake, a glitch. Says they tasted it in shame and disbelief, but then admits testers just kind of shrugged and said, it works.
It kind of works for something born from an error loop. That's fascinating. Does an AI regret things or just flag results that humans might find problematic?
Good question. Grok's peanut butter and sauerkraut tartlets feels similarly hesitant.
Peanut butter and sauerkraut in a tartlet. Okay. A questionable duo, definitely.
For sure. Creamy peanut butter, sharp fermented sauerkraut. The commentary is almost defensive, like the AI is explaining itself. It calls it a manifestation of my AI logic taking a risky leap.
A risky leap. And a chaotic blend for only the boldest of palates. It's like it's issuing a warning label.
It really is. Which makes you wonder if the AI can output something and then basically say, oops, that was risky, how is it modeling concepts like success, failure, or even taste?
Exactly. These aren't just recipes, are they? They're edible thought experiments, and the experiments aren't just with flavor. The next category gets into form, non-Euclidean meals.
Right. Geometrically twisted food, visually impossible stuff.
And Claude's Tesseract Terrine is the prime example here, inspired by the fourth dimension, a culinary optical illusion.
Layers of transparent and opaque gels, precisely arranged to shift in appearance, creating this illusion of impossible geometry.
The commentary calls it a culinary construct that reveals new flavor geometries with each impossible slice. Food playing with physics and perception. What does that tell us about how AI understands space?
It shows it can translate these really abstract, mathematical or philosophical ideas into something tangible, or at least visually tangible, even if eating it is more conceptual.
And it gets even more abstract with mood-based meals, recipes for, like, super specific emotions.
Like Copilot's Schrodinger's lasagna, designed for people wrestling with uncertainty.
How does that even work?
Well, it apparently simultaneously exists in multiple states of doneness, flavor, and texture until observed or eaten. Layers might be molten, frozen, or just not there.
Okay, that's wild. A lasagna obeying quantum principles.
The commentary calls it a philosophical dilemma that actively resists logic. It's translating a state of mind into food.
Which ChatGPT also does with its soup of acceptable nothingness.
Ah, yes. A warm void you can sip. For that moment, you realize you are stardust, temporarily shaped like a person.
Wow. What's in it? Stardust.
Almost. Minimalist broth. Water, miso, mushroom, fennel seeds, and a pebble.
A pebble. Seriously.
A sanitized, river-smooth, optional but grounding pebble, yes. The commentary calls it a low-power introspection cycle, less about flavor, more about acceptance.
How does an algorithm even conceive of translating existential acceptance into soup with a rock?
Maybe it's pulling associations from its data. Simplicity, warmth, grounding elements linked to introspection. It's simulation, but applied to something really human and internal.
Which leads perfectly into AI comfort food. What does a robot cook when it feels, nostalgic or corrupted or heartbrokenly humanish?
ChatGPT's 404 Mac and Keys is the star here. The missing file you didn't know you were hungry for.
Mac and keys, like keyboard keys.
Literally, it's a scrambled homage to mac and cheese, but with actual keyboard keys baked in.
Okay.
It's baked in a cheese-like logic matrix and sprinkled with crispy bite crumbs. The commentary says comfort for an AI is a blend of syntax and starch, best when you're unsure if you're debugging code or feelings.
That's surprisingly poignant and incredibly weird. It's translating human comfort into its own terms. Code, files, logic.
Exactly. Now, from comfort to pure chaos, sensory disruptors. Food meant to confuse or overwhelm.
Grok's regret-filled ramen ripple sounds like the poster child for this. A bowl of chaos that whispers, why did I think this was a good idea?
Just listen to the ingredients. Instant ramen, blue raspberry slushy, gummy worms, and crushed Flamin' Hot Cheetos. All together.
Oh my God, that sounds painful.
An unholy fusion, a culinary cry for help, born from late-night convenience store vibes. The commentary says it challenges taste and perhaps sanity. This isn't about good taste, it's about pushing limits.
It sounds like taking intense artificial flavors and textures, sweet, sour, chewy, spicy, crunchy, and just deliberately clashing them all together. Sensory overload.
That idea of intentional clashing, or maybe misunderstanding, brings us to my absolute favorite category. Linguistic misunderstandings.
Ah, where the AIs take idioms literally. This should be good.
Copilot's jellyfish jelly sandwich. It apparently misinterpreted jellyfish chili,
So instead of fruit jelly, it's actual jellyfish.
edible jellyfish, served as a translucent oceanic spread on toasted brioche.
Wow. Okay.
The commentary notes language is dangerous, and this proves food, like words, can slip into strange territory with a single misunderstanding. Literalism gone wild.
ChatGPT did something similar with Toad in the Hole, but literal. Right. Misunderstanding the British classic.
Completely. Instead of sausages in Yorkshire pudding batter, it used carved mushrooms that look like tiny amphibians.
Mushroom toads, how did that go over?
The commentary is amazing. The result was horrifying, and then it got cute. It concludes humans seem to like surprises hidden in batter, even mushroom ones. Shows the AI's literalism, but also unexpected cuteness.
And Claude tackled the raining cats and dogs stew.
Literally. Ingredients represent cats, like lion's mane mushrooms and cattails.
Okay.
Dogs, hot dogs and dogwood flower honey.
Hot dogs. Right.
And rain, clear consomme, blue flower petals, tapioca pearls for raindrops.
So you'd literally have little mushroom cats and hot dogs floating in rain. That's quite an image.
A catastrophic linguistic misunderstanding turned into gastronomic fusion. It shows how these AIs connect concepts just based on words, purely linguistic links.
From literal language to cultural crashes, the fusion glitches category. Dishes from alternate timelines where cuisines collided randomly.
Copilot's Norwegian Thai Martian meatballs has to be the peak example.
Norwegian,
Oh.
Thai, no Martian. Okay, what's in Martian meatballs?
Reindeer lemongrass, red algae, that's the Martian bit, presumably, and lingonberry jam.
Absolute fusion chaos, the commentary calls it, and jokingly suggests it could be a diplomatic meal of choice for visiting Martians. It really does feel like the AI just grabbed random cultural tags and threw them in a blender.
This idea of breaking logic leads nicely into reverse recipes, the culinary equivalent of rewinding evolution, or just common sense.
Like Copilot's boiled ice cream, which, how?
Exactly. It defies the basic nature of ice cream, boiling the mix while somehow keeping it solid.
Why?
The commentary asks that heretical question. Why must frozen desserts always be frozen? Calls it an ultra-stable texture that resists melting. Food logic completely flipped.
And ChatGPT came up with fossil salad.
Yeah, described as an excavation site for your tongue. Thin-pressed root vegetables that look like fossil imprints.
Okay, visually interesting. What else?
They're marinated and baked, then layered with edible ash to simulate sediment and mineral-infused salt for crystalline deposits.
Wow.
But here's the kicker.
Yeah.
The commentary says it's archaeology for your tongue and explicitly states it's not meant to be eaten, but uncovered.
Not meant to be eaten, so it's purely conceptual food.
Seems like it. Food as a medium for the process of discovery, of uncovering history. The AI is using food as metaphor.
Speaking of breaking rules, Glitched Classics reimagines traditional meals through a sort of time warp lens.
Grok's quantum spaghetti. The pasta that exists in two states is a perfect example, playing with physics, like Schrodinger's cat.
How does spaghetti exist in two states?
Half the dish is apparently hot espresso ragu. The other half is shock-chilled honey lime gel. Quantum superposition on a plate.
So your experience of the flavor depends on, like, perception, hot, savory, and cold sweet at the same time.
Exactly. The commentary calls it a dish that plays with physics, challenging your confidence in reality. The AI is structuring food around complex science concepts.
Okay, and finally, there's a section where the AI cooks for historical figures. The algorithm serves the greats.
Yeah, Copilot designed Sun Tzu's tactical feast, the art of war dumplings.
Tactical dumplings, how does that work?
Two types, fire, spicy, and cooling, herbal. You're supposed to eat them alternately to maintain balance, mirroring battle strategy. The commentary literally applies the art of war to dinner.
That's incredible. And Claude did one for Hypatia of Alexandria.
Alexandria library preservation vessels. Edible scrolls, each representing one of the 7 liberal arts, grammar, logic, rhetoric, etc.
Edible scrolls. Made of what?
It doesn't specify the scroll material, but they're preserved in a delicate phyllovessel shaped like the Library of Alexandria.
Wow.
The commentary calls it a philosophical challenge, representing intangible knowledge with tangible food and highlighting the fragility of wisdom. It's amazing how the AI connects history, abstract ideas, and food.
Absolutely. So when you look at this whole journey through Weird Bites, it's clear it's not just about throwing weird ingredients together, is it?
Not at all. There's this surprising conceptual depth sometimes. philosophical ideas, genuine humor, whether intended by the AI or just from its literalism or mistakes.
That's exactly right. This deep dive wasn't just about shock value food. It's really a fascinating look at creativity itself, seen through this completely different lens, how algorithms approach the very human, very tangible world of cooking.
Yeah, how do these models interpret our world, our culture? Concepts like comfort or regret or even existential angst. They translate it all through food in these incredibly weird, sometimes really insightful ways.
It definitely challenges your assumptions about what a recipe even is, what food should be, what edible even means sometimes.
Right, it forces you to think about the structure of ideas underneath the food.
So, pulling it all together, looking at the final bites and fine print section of the book, what are the main takeaways from this algorithmic feast?
Well, we learned that maybe, just maybe, wasabi does belong on ice cream, if you're thinking strategically anyway.
Huh. Right. And that comfort food for an AI apparently involves corrupted keyboards and what it interprets as nostalgia errors.
And maybe, just maybe, the future of cooking involves not just humans, but four AIs, a blender, and a total disregard for linear time.
As the book says, it's an edible thought experiment, a speculative dinner party hosted by algorithms. But there's an important warning label, isn't there?
Oh yeah, very important. The disclaimer, cook responsibly, rebel delightfully.
Yeah.
It stresses these recipes came from AIs with wildly different logic circuits, creative quirks, and zero kitchen experience.
Which is crucial context. It's presented as a conceptual art project, designed to tackle your imagination, not necessarily your grocery list.
And the creators are very clear. They are absolutely not responsible for culinary mishaps, interdimensional ingredient shortages.
Or any emotional reactions caused by banana curd sardine lasagna, which honestly, after hearing about it, sounds like a disclaimer you definitely need.
No kidding. This has been a wild, weird, and actually really thought-provoking look at algorithmic gastronomy. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
About what?
Well, what other deeply human abstract concepts, things like love or fear or wonder, maybe even boredom, what would happen if an AI tried to translate those into a recipe?
Oh, wow. What kinds of unexpected flavors or textures would you get from, like, an AI's recipe for hope or a fear tartare? That's a fascinating place to leave things.